What's wrong?
All right.
And we are live. All right. Do you want Dave to go turn on your tablet? You're gonna go get your tablet and bring it in here, and Daddy will put it on your show. Yeah. You just want to sit here? Are you tired? Okay, that's fine. This is Uncle being silly. All right. Did you eat all your lunch?
Kiddos, you gotta love them.
All right.
Got to love them.
He's so silly.
All right.
All right, if you guys are ready.
Go time.
Welcome and thank you for tapping into some Untapped Keg, our sobriety and mental health podcast. I'm one of your hosts, RJ Zimmerman, here with my good friend Monte Ball. How you doing, big guy?
I'm good. I'm excited. I'm thrilled. As always, we got a guest. But before we get to the guest, feeling all right. Feeling all right. Been again, this diet, this workout, getting a month in every single day, grinding. I've been feeling really, really good, man. How about yourself? Sounds like looks like we got two guests, but how you feeling, man?
I'm a little bit tired. It's been a weekend, but yeah, I think that this one might steal the show. You laughing? So, you know, I'm pretty good. I can't complain, honestly. Like, kids stress you out every once in a while, but they give back too. And now is one of those times where he's giving back. So,
Absolutely.
Without further ado, you know, we have a special guest, someone that the Bear put us in contact with, the Bear Project, Brandon. And this is Initial D, content creator, Twitch streamer. How you doing, sir?
Fantastic. I think I'm feeling like you guys. I'm tired, but I'm here. I'm here. Blessed. Thank you so much.
We're glad you're here.
All right, this is gonna be really good. So Initial D. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So obviously, yeah, you do a lot of stuff on Twitch, content creation. I mean, I love obviously a lot of it that you talk about, right? Especially a lot of the stuff that you post on Twitter, where you'll just put up really short videos of you just talking about mental health, talking about important things, talking about expressing emotions, all of the above. Before we get into all of that, how'd you come up with the name?
Okay. Excellent question right there. I do get that often. So, number one, I'm a huge anime fan. Been watching anime since like before I was allowed to. Let's just put it like that. There's an anime by the name of Initial D. And it's basically about teenagers drag racing in Tokyo. Go to school by day, drag race by night. It's on the top tier list as far as what I consider to be one of my favorites. So we'll leave that there, but we'll have to go back to middle school also. Throughout middle school, high school, early adulthood, everyone always called me D. My name is Derek, by the way. No one calls me that except for family members or people who have known me literally my whole life. But everyone
or when you're in trouble.
Basically called. Okay, that's the government name right there. Like, how did you know that name? Who told you that? Who have you been talking to? everyone always calls me D. So when I came to Twitch, I wanted to think of something unique. What type of a name? You know, I didn't want to think of anything generic. So the first thing that popped into my head was, what about just going by D? I'm like, man, that's just too boring. So then the anime popped in my mind, Initial D. I was like, well, everyone calls me D. And most people only know me by that initial. So I put an additional L on there because some people still call me Initial. I'm slowly but surely trying to tell people, no, it's Initial D, you know, with the extra L. So we tack the L on the end of that and then just put the first initial of my name and boom, here we are today. Initial D. It's stuck. People tend to think it's catchy and then it works.
Right. Yeah, I think that's literally what I was going to say. It's really catchy. Initial. Which one do you prefer? Does it really matter? Initial D?
No, it doesn't matter, you know, because people say both.
Right. No, I like it. I think it's important too, especially obviously with your content creation. And, you know, for us, we came about the name Untapped Keg, obviously, because, you know, we both decided to step away from the bottle, no longer drink alcohol. And so we were thinking, like, let's come up with a name, thinking of a keg. Why not a keg that's untapped? And so that stuff is always fun. It's always interesting to learn how folks come up with their names. Yeah, so it's pretty cool stuff. RJ, I'll let you.
We were almost the after drunks because, you know, you got the after party and we're like, oh, the after drunks. But then we're like, you can't take that serious. So
no, you can't.
We moved on a little bit.
How long has it been since you guys have touched the bottle?
For me, this month is going to be 8 years. Like,
wow.
Basically, I'm about a week away from 8 years.
Yeah, awesome. August 1, 2016 for me.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's one heck of a recovery journey. Yeah. So, but this is not our time to talk about us. We're here to learn about you. Here to talk about you. So RJ, go ahead, man.
So D, or do you like D or Initial, Steven?
Either's fine.
Okay.
Either's fine.
So one thing that caught my eye, so obviously it was Brandon that said that, you know, we should look at you and check you out because he thought you would make mesh with us pretty well. And after watching, it was also your Twitter videos that I saw first, and watching those, like, you know, you're a very wise individual. And how do you come up with the topics that you talk about on those videos? Because they're like pertinent to right now, but then they're also, you can go back and watch the old ones and they still relate to right now. So,
right.
You know, is it just things that come to mind right away, or do you plan them out?
You know, I grew up very quiet in school. And I would always have people say to me, you never talk. You don't say anything. You don't interact. I was very introverted growing up. And I grew up with my grandparents, great grandparents. And I remember them always saying, you know, you need to say what's on your mind and stop holding back for fear of what people will think or how they will portray you. And I never really got over that in my childhood or in my teenage years. I think I had to been probably around 26, 27 when I started becoming more outspoken and just really saying what was on my mind. Like I've never been the type of person to, like, if I'm going to talk, it's going to be something that I feel is going to be informative for other people for learning purposes, because on social media, people abuse it by saying literally what's on their mind. And it could be anything. It could be toxic. It could be disrespectful. It could be whatever. And I just live by this notion of being a light, or like a beacon of light in a dark world. And anything that I can do to help somebody, I'm going to do it. So a lot of the content that comes to mind that I post are scenarios that I play over in my head or experiences that I've been through, or maybe some mistakes that I've made that I would, if I could try to help somebody not make those mistakes. So I put those different type of tweets out. It started with tweets, and then I just went ahead and started putting videos out because I'm just a very outspoken person. I just don't feel like I can get it out the way I want via text. So I started, making videos. But for the most part, the subjects or the context of the tweets or the videos, they just simply just come to mind. And I'm going back to childhood by not holding back some sort of material that I feel like can help somebody. Whether, because I know there are people out there who probably get tired of it, because I have a very active account. And I can remember it, I think it was about a month ago, somebody came on my live stream and said, bro, you talk too much. You talk too much. Play the game. You talk too much. I was like, okay, well, if you don't want me to talk, then you're free to leave. This is my channel. This is the way I choose to connect with people. And it's not something that I see every day on Twitter. It's not. So I feel like if there's any way I can be different, I'm going to try to be different. And if that's going to make me exclusive, then I'll continue to do so.
Yeah. That's always interesting, because that was going to be another question that I have for you down the road here of this stream. But I asking you about how to handle some of the trolls and stuff that are on there, because you're kind of going against the grain here. We all are talking about mental health, talking about men's mental health, men expressing emotions, etc. And you're going to get some pushback. So you've kind of already touched on it right there, where folks are saying you talk too much, because it's so against the norm. And so my question to you, I guess, is a perfect segue right into it. How do you go about managing and dealing with trolls that hop into your streams or tweet at you? Because unfortunately, they're always going to be around.
Experience is the best teacher. It wasn't always the way it is now, of course. We all evolve eventually, but I feel like how we do that, we have to go through the fire to be purified and come out like hard, nice steel. That's just my way of thinking. So, in other words, earlier on, I didn't really deal with it too well, because I was just really having a hard time. And if we can go back to YouTube, and then get into Twitch, I didn't deal with it too well because I had a hard time understanding, like, okay, did I do something wrong? I thought that what I was doing was okay. This is not anything that I would consider to be triggering, but something informative. But the fact of the matter is that I learned that there are just simply, no matter who you are, where you're from, what you look like, what your content is about, there's always going to be somebody who has a problem with you. Or I take that back. Maybe the problem is not with you. Maybe it's within themselves. And they just project that onto somebody that's doing something that maybe they want to do, or you're probably hitting a nerve with something that you're doing. So I was a little sensitive to it at first. And when I understood that no matter what I do, this is always going to be here. So if I don't toughen my skin, I might as well quit. So I just kind of nowadays, like, because I still get trolls to this day, and I have a really nice community too, that if they see it, they pretty much, they're on it. But as for me, their hope is to rile up the streamer or the content creator, get them to stumble over their words. I just laugh about it, ask them, how are you doing? Is everything okay? Kill them with kindness.
That's awesome.
Killing with kindness.
I mean, sometimes we forget about that, killing with kindness, and it's effective. I mean, in real life, it does work. You take somebody who thinks that they're making a point and make them feel 2 inches tall because you're being nice back. But, I guess when you transitioned from, because you said you started on YouTube and then went to Twitch, what was your biggest hurdle there?
YouTube
there
was more so. Excuse me.
the differences between like YouTube and Twitch. Like there are differences like between the platforms and then the communities that you gather.
Well, I know for YouTube, it was more so just, making videos, never live streamed on Twitch. So it was never like any type of real life interaction I ever had to deal with on YouTube. It was more so just comments or whatnot that I had a problem with. Twitch is, well, what you see is what you get. It's kind of, I don't want to say worse, however you want to interpret that, but it's kind of like, you literally have to be ready for anything, when you're live versus a pre-made video like on YouTube. And as when I was making YouTube videos, I don't think that live streaming was an option, but now it is, as we can see. But as far as like hurdles, I haven't really had many hurdles. I haven't really had much trouble, to be honest, but I have had my share of run-ins with trolls. Nothing to the point of I've got death threats or somebody threatening to report content. Nothing of that nature. I always try to stay I tried to make content that I feel would be very impossible to dislike, but some people will still find a reason to not like you.
Of course. Always.
I mean, we've had people question our sobriety.
Always.
It's like at multiple places, like as podcast reviews and comments on YouTube. And it's like, who are you? Or they questioned our recovery. And it's like, or recovery methods or whatever. Like,
right.
Who are you to say what makes me a better person, makes me a better father? But people feel like they have to, put their 2 cents in, even where it doesn't belong. So
they could be. They may be in a place where you are and struggling. Maybe. Yeah.
And that's a good point too.
Absolutely. And that's another life lesson that I've learned, is to not be so judgmental, even when people are being aggressive. Because I just find it hard to believe that you don't like me and you never met me. Right. And, perhaps you're dealing with something. And I used to take that personal, but now I just kind of, okay, maybe this person's dealing with something. Prime example, I can remember me and my wife, we left a gas station a couple of months ago. We were pumping gas and we're driving, and we got back out onto the road. We stopped at a stop sign, and there was a woman coming from the other direction. I guess we weren't moving fast enough, and she just, flicked us the middle finger. And I'm like, okay, someone's having a bad day. We just laughed at it. Otherwise, some people would take that personal. Like, this person doesn't know us from Adam, so why am I going to get mad about that?
I think that's so. What you're talking about right there is we talk about that a lot at Untapped Keg, is emotional intelligence. Is essentially what you're speaking about. And it sounds like you got quite a high level of emotional intelligence, and that's just interesting to hear. It really is interesting to hear, because most folks, you're right, you have that road rage. They have that, I'm going to take it personally. Now I'm one of those folks still working on it to this day. So it's just an important topic right there. Absolutely. That emotional intelligence part of it.
Yeah. I'm a work in progress myself. Every day it's a challenge. It's a challenge. We're not there yet, but we're getting there.
I think that's a sense of wisdom, though, is understanding that you're a work in progress. Like, me too. But if you think that you are done, like you're done with your progression, then you're just you're a boring human being. Like, everybody can improve in some level. And, we've talked plenty of times about my lack of emotional intelligence and trying to get better. And it has gotten better, but it's not been a fast process to some people's and my own. Sometimes I get frustrated with myself that I just don't know. So like my wife was giving me, teasing me the other night, and like it got to the point where I took it personal, and I know she didn't mean to do it personally, like personally come after me, but I still took it personal, and I couldn't figure out why till 2 days later. I realized what happened like in my childhood or teens or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's why I still have that defense mechanism that I just go straight to, I'm just going to get mad or remove myself from it instead of understanding who's doing it. So there's a lot of wisdom in saying that you're a work in progress. And, I think that should be celebrated more than we do as a society.
Right.
Absolutely. And again, it just goes to show that, who I am today is not who I was, 10 years ago. I would hope we're not the same person as we were 10 years ago. But I want to be, there are things I want out of life that are just going to require me being as honest as I possibly can. And we've heard it our whole lives. Like, first it starts with being honest with yourself, keeping it real with yourself. It all comes back to self.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that you can give me or this person can give me to make me better unless I'm honest with me. Like if I have a problem, then I have to be willing to say I have a problem. And I think that comes with, you have to be able to swallow your pride. And in order to do that, and as men, we struggle to do that a lot.
Absolutely. Go ahead, RG.
I was just gonna say, that is like my sin is pride. So
I think this will be perfect because you mentioned obviously being different than different person today than 10 years ago. Kind of want to for our listeners to learn a little bit more about you, D, and that's. Obviously you shared with us a little bit about why you started to become a content creator, Twitch, stream, all of the above, to kind of be that light, that beacon for folks in the darkness, provide them with a few nuggets here and there, and hopefully they go on with their day and have a better day because they listen to you, or a better night because they listen to you that evening. My question to you, man, is like, why else? What was your reason really for wanting to be that beacon? Like with your past or any sort of relationships that you had or something like that. What was really that turning point for you where you were like, you know what, this is what's needed. This is what I want to do. And this is why I'm going to do it.
Ever since I was a child, I always felt like something was different about me. And being an adult now, I kind of look back on childhood like, okay, well, maybe there was a reason that I was so quiet. Maybe that was a season of me being observant, listening, watching, and then taking the experiences that I've been through and either channeling them for good or bad. Because a lot of adults are the way that they are based on life experiences as a child, which is something else I've kind of had to learn to why I choose to not judge people, because I don't know, maybe they went through some sort of trauma as a child and now they're an adult and they never healed. They never had an opportunity to get corrected and they live with that pain. And the only way that they know how to, quote unquote, relieve it is by protruding it onto other people. Now, I'm not saying that that's right. Of course, I disagree with it because, if you have a problem, of course, you need to get some help. But it goes back to being able to admit that you do have a problem. Growing up, I've dealt with, my share of bullying. I've dealt with my share of being made fun of. It is what it is. I don't hold it against anybody. I think that it kind of motivated me even more as an adult to fight against that. Because if we look around us, if we can be honest, the world is screwed up. There's a lot of selfish people in the world who only think of themselves. And there are people who are in positions of power who don't care anything about those that are under them, stepping on feet, stepping on heads, just so they can be exalted. Right. For me, I get tired of seeing that. And I see people, get a little deep, but I see people who feel the need to end their lives because they don't think that there are any more good people in this world. I see people who turn to drugs because they're numb. They want to numb whatever pain that they're dealing with because they feel like nobody wants to listen to them. They feel like that no one can help them. They feel like everyone's the same. I want, and that's my main motivation. I don't want to be put in that category of being considered the same. You know, if I can be different, which I don't do it because, you know, anyone has persuaded me to do it. I do it because I have a sincere love for people. I want to show people, you know, there is hope in the world. There are good people in the world. Right. There are people who want to help you without asking for anything in return. Because I feel that, who was I talking to? I was talking to, my guest last night, you know, she mentioned that when she came to Twitch, that her community did this for her, did that for her, and only because they loved her, not because they looked for anything in return. Well, it's the same with me. You know, I want to show you, you know, I want to help you out. You know, if you need an ear or if you need some advice, I'm right here. I'm not asking for anything, just to show you there are still good people in this world. And that's why I've chosen the path that I've taken, and I want to be a good example for, you know, my family as well.
I think you are. I think you are. That was a brilliant response to that, because I wondered that. I know our listeners as well are wondering that, but that was a really great way to put it, because you're right. All it can take in some cases where folks are right there at the brink of suicide is one more person just to say pretty much exactly what you stated, and that can be all the difference in the world at 100%, unequivocally 100%. That is very true. Thank you for sharing that. Actually, that was pretty cool. That was deep. I like that.
Thank you.
So, talking about your family here, you know, we were talking earlier, you're a father of boys. I'm also a father of boys. Mons is a father of a boy. Being a parent and a content creator, how are you able to kind of incorporate, you know, you're putting stuff out there that I hope your kids can learn from, right? But
yeah.
How is it kind of working around them to create the content? Because I know sometimes it can be stressful, but does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
it makes perfect sense. It is very difficult. If I could just sum it up in a, you know, short, it's difficult, but to get, you know, into context. When I started doing this, I made it very clear that I don't want to exclude them too much. I understand that I have to be alone to be able to be productive, but my door is open for a reason. It's not closed. You know, if they want to come in here, they're free to come in here. They've been in videos, they've been on streams. My community knows them. They're a part of my life. But as far as trying to balance it, it's very difficult, and it's become more difficult, actually, I'd say, between now and August, because last year our children they did virtual learning. So everything was done here at home. It was a lot more easier to be able to do things because we were all home. I didn't have to go pick them up from school. I didn't have to take them to school. They didn't really have homework because everything was done right there on the computer. But now that they've returned back to physical school, because we just felt like that was the best choice. We started seeing signs of some social skills diminishing, that they needed to just be around other kids, and they needed a physical teacher.
Yeah.
They just needed it. But since then, it has become a challenge because my wife, actually, she just switched jobs, and that put a lot more responsibility on me, because I have to take them to school every day. I have to pick them up every day, which I have no problem doing.
Right.
But when you put it in conjunction, it's a change, and I'm still trying to adapt to it. But when you put it in conjunction with the content creation, it's harder, not impossible, but harder. I am having to choose a little bit more these days between spending time with the kids after homework or live streaming or making a YouTube video. And of course, they're always going to win,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
like no matter what. So it's not easy, but I do feel that if it's something that anybody out there really wants to do, if you're passionate about it, you'll make the time. It may not be as consistent as you would like it to be. It's not as consistent as I would want it to be at the moment, but we're still here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's, you know, what we jump around a lot here, and obviously now we're about 30 something minutes in. You can kind of tell we like to jump around, and I
That's fine.
wanted to talk a lot about you know, obviously it says you're a fitness trainer, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, you were really into fitness, really love physical activity, and I kind of wanted to talk about that. I've been working out really aggressively. I've worked out my entire life, obviously, but stopped for the longest time, and now for the last like 4 weeks, I've been really going after it, and just feeling a lot better. I kind of wanted to hear you speak about fitness, what it means to you, how important it is to your mental health. What has it done for you, other than obviously providing you with physical looks?
Okay. So the physical, let me touch that first. So the physical look, that right there was, and you know, is for most people the most wanted characteristic of, you know, working out and dieting and stuff like that. But I noticed that the older I've gotten, the health benefit is way more important to me than the physical look. Because I say that because depending on what direction you want to go with this with fitness, but I'll try to keep it as neutral as I can. Just because you look healthy doesn't necessarily mean that you are healthy on the inside, depending on certain choices that you make to get that physique that you have. But what it means to me is everything. I have a picture up here, and I look at it. I have it right here over my setup. It says, my wife made it. It says, I feed my spirit, I focus my mind, and I train my body, like all aspects of, you know, what I feel that, you know, I'm made of. But the biggest thing that I think that I've gathered from the lifestyle of fitness and nutrition is the amount of discipline that has been installed in me that I did not have previously. You see, I've been like legitimately working out since 1999, and I began my career in 2010 is with certified personal trainer. I'm 11 years in right now, and just the feeling of helping people get from point A to point Z is amazing. Or the feeling of helping the person get off of blood pressure medication, or fight the potential of type 2 diabetes, building the confidence. You know, I'm essentially not just giving people results physically, but helping them mentally as well. Because if you don't like what you see in the mirror, that can hurt you in other aspects of life. It's not all about having a flat stomach or a big chest. It's not all about that. It's about feeling good at the end of the day. It'll give you something that you probably have never had before. Confidence looks good on everybody. But overall, you know,
it's true. It's true.
It does.
No, I'm seeing this wheelhouse. So not only certified fitness trainer, right? Not only are you helping people to, you know, look good, feel good, as you just explained, it's that also, hey, if you want more, right? Come check me out on stream. Come check me out on my streams or my YouTube channel or what have you. It's to get the mental aspect of it, more mental aspect of it, and that's just important for people to understand that, right? The physical aspect of this mental health wheelhouse is extremely important. extremely. And I think you nailed it when you talked about discipline, teaching yourself, training your body, training your mind, how important discipline is. We're creatures of habit, right? We love routines.
Right.
And it's important, man. I'm learning a lot here. I'm grabbing a lot from you right now, man. A lot of nuggets. Yeah.
I like how you talked about like the holistic, like everything about the body, because that's something that we've gone through here too. So we started the podcast like talking about our sobriety a lot, but then kind of soon after that, because we started talking like holistic and everything, we're like, well, you know, we can't really talk about our sobriety without talking about mental health, because
of course,
that's really the root of why we drank so much, why we're alcoholics, is the mental health aspect. And then talking about mental health aspects, like both of us have better mental health the more physically active we are. So like, you know, when we lived in the same city, we played in a volleyball league together. You know, like we played at softball together.
You were terrible. No,
just go straight for the heart, straight for the heart.
I'm kidding.
So, you know, how everything impacts another facet is important. And then you know, just talking about, and not even when you said, you didn't say A to B, you said A to Z, because there's a lot of little points you hit in between that A to Z. And that's such a great way of putting something that is kind of small, but some people may not notice it, but it's important to realize, like, nothing in this life, no matter what we've been trained in the past, honestly, 10 years or so, nothing happens overnight. Very few things, I should say, happen overnight.
Right.
There's little points that you hit to, and you just got to try to find what they are and get to that next point. So like when people hit us up on Twitter or Facebook and they talk about how, you know, they're struggling right now, one of the sayings for sobriety is one day at a time. And one thing I'll say to them, if you can't do one day at a time, go one moment at a time. If you can't go one moment at a time, go 1 minute at a time. Just try to find something that you can focus on, that you can get through. Try finding an episode of a TV show that you enjoy, that can help you take your mind off of it, and just go episode to episode, because that's really what we're doing, is just trying to get through to our Z, whatever our Z is. And then we're going to take that Z is going to be our A, and we're going to go through that again. So I really liked how you went into that aspect. When you work out, I've been seeing you and Bear and Bearded Legend Gaming, I think is who that is. And you guys go back and forth with your push-up challenges. Let me tell you, nothing gets me more motivated than trying to do 20 push-ups and realizing I can only do 10. That's not good for me, because I used to be able to crank out a bunch, but man, this dad bod's real. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
That was that. I think that I believe it was Bear who started it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he started it and he brought it to me, and then I started doing it as well and tagging other guys and some ladies too. You know, they wanted to get involved. We felt like, you know, we see all different type of trends on social media. We see silly dances or some sort of meme. Why not just put something out there that's going to actually benefit somebody physically?
Yeah.
So I thought it was an amazing idea, and we didn't know that it was going to like motivate so many people, but it did. And that's just the way it is. It always has to start with, you know, with one person. And again, it just goes to show you that, you know, the power of social media if you use it correctly.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Got a question for you, D.
Sure.
Real quick. How I hit my threshold, right? No, not threshold. I hit that weight loss wall. Thank you, Jesus. Excuse my language. I plateaued for sure. What am I not doing right? Why have I plateaued? Like what? That's kind of that's kind of vague in a sense, right? You don't know what I'm eating. You don't know what kind of workouts I'm doing, but what's going on? I lost like 25 pounds the first like 3.5 weeks. Normal. Right. But now I'm plateauing. So what I need to do?
So if you're right. And without making this a really, really long answer, you said that I didn't know what you're eating. I don't know what your workouts are like. So of course, those would be some of the first things that I would ask a person if they hit that plateau, because the dreaded plateau is what basically stops a lot of people from progressing. My job is to figure out why this person hit a plateau. So I don't have to necessarily know what you're eating or what type of workouts you're taking part in. Only thing I could tell you is whatever you're doing, you need to do more of it. So let's say you're working out for 30 minutes for 5 days a week. And let's say that you're eating 2,000 calories and you've managed to lose 25 pounds doing this formula. Well, your body has basically adapted to that. And you have to give it something else that it is not used to in order for it to continue to respond. So you have a choice. You could either increase your workouts from 30 minutes to 45 minutes, 5 days a week, or 30 minutes for 6 days a week. Or you could, instead of eat 2,000 calories, you could cut that down to 1,800 calories. And your body definitely will respond to that change. But now I'd say 9.5 times out of 10, unless it's some sort of metabolic issue or thyroid problem, your body is adapted to the routine that you're doing.
That's okay. Appreciate that. Sorry, I got a little selfish question right there.
That's fine. No, that's okay.
That's going to benefit somebody who listens to this, though, right? Like,
yeah,
that answer.
A lot of people deal with that.
Yeah,
a lot of people deal with that.
That's very true. So let's go ahead and hobbies, man. You know what time it is, RJ. You know what time it is. Hobbies. Let's go.
So, okay, we know you're a gamer. We know, like, you like to play games on stream, but a game that, like, catches your attention. So I caught your l'experience last week with Monster, and you were talking about Last of Us Part 2 and how that, like, hits you a certain way, right? That's same with us. Is it like an adventure game that you enjoy, horror, or is it, what kind of a game is a D game?
Okay, so number one, I'm old school. I've been playing since NES, so that just kind of gives you an idea of the history.
Oh yeah.
What jumps out at me is always going to be a good story. Like, it has to be able to keep my attention. So for me,
love it.
Story games are, like The Last of Us, for instance, is a great example. Metal Gear Solid. Oh yeah. Yeah.
God of War. Yeah.
God of War. Metal Gear Solid. I'm currently going through the entire Yakuza series right now. I feel like that's a criminally underrated series that is so great because it has such a great story. It's been around since about 2005. And I think the last game was made in 2017 or 18. I can't remember.
The one just came out last year, Like a Dragon.
Like a Dragon. Yeah. Now that one was completely separate.
Oh, it is separate. Okay. I thought it was like, wasn't it Yakuza 7 though? Like a Dragon, or was it just Yakuza Like a Dragon?
I think some people call it Yakuza 7, but some people just like to call it Like a Dragon because it plays completely different. But I'm not really much of a graphics guy, although I really do appreciate where we are today with video games. I mean, we've come a long way from Contra all the way up to Warzone. So it all started with Contra, but story games, I love it. But that's what does it for me. I'll pretty much give anything a chance if it has a good story.
I like that.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. We always like to talk about, hobbies, video games, things that kind of help to, help you decompress, right? occupy the hands, kind of calms the mind in a sense. Allows for your brain to kind of just rest for a second. Like RJ likes to cook. I cook a little bit here and there, but what I really like to do if I'm not reading is I like to write. I really enjoy writing physically. And so kind of wanted to learn a little bit more about yourself, like when those times come about when, you know, you're stressed. We're still dealing with life. We're always going to be stressed. Stressful moments in your life where you're trying to just decompress, kind of calm the brain outside of video games and content creation and even family time, right? What helps you? What keeps you going? What helps you to kind of reset the brain?
Actually, there are three things that come to mind, and there's a fourth that I'm going to leave number 4 out here, and I'll tell you why. Number one, much like yourself, I do like to write. Nice. I have a blog I've had since 2018 called Thoughts to Reality. I've come back and forth to it. I'm back on it right now, especially since the response I've been getting from it, you know, which motivates me even more to want to write. I think the writing started, I want to say like high school for me. I used to write music. I used to write poetry. That helped me a lot. Don't do any of that right now, but I would say that writing definitely helps me decompress. Number 2 is music. I really, really love music. I mean, who doesn't love music?
Right.
But I don't mind listening to like classical or smooth jazz or something like that. Turn my television off and just sit on the couch and just relax. Turn my phone off. I got to get away from the phone. Number 1, got to get away from the phone. I guess we could say that's another decompression. So love music. Number 3 is I like to go outdoors.
Okay.
I just love being out in nature. We have a nature trail here at one of the universities here in my city that me and my family recently started going to about almost 2 years ago. It's about 15 miles long.
Wow.
And yeah, but they're different trails.
Okay, I got you.
They're different trails. I got a story about that. in a minute. Let me just tell the story right now before I
go ahead.
Perfect.
So,
you gotta tell it.
So we went out there about a year and a half ago. One morning, this was during the pandemic. Everything was shut down and stuff. So we went out there. I'd say about maybe 10 a.m. And prior to that, we had been out to that nature trail several times. And when you go out there, there are like flags on trees to let you know, hey, you're on, I'm just going to use these names, you're on Coke Can Trail, or you're on Fox's Den, or Dead Man's Bones Trail. I know, right? So we usually would stay on Coke Can, which would leave us out there for about a good hour and 15 minutes, and then we leave, and then we were going to grab some breakfast. Mm-hmm. Well, one morning we decided to go, and we didn't eat. Decided to go to breakfast afterwards, and my wife was like, "Let's go this way." I was like, "Okay." It was like a pink flag. I can't remember the name of the trail, but we took it. And I'm like, "It looks like we're going in circles. Maybe we should go back." So going back made us go further in a different direction. So this point, we started, we really legitimately started panicking.
In the twilight zone.
When you go out there, there is no one out there. The people go, but like I stated, it's 15 miles long.
Right.
So you're not going to see people walking past you for like who knows how long. So upon starting the trail, there's a big map right there. You know, you can take a picture of it with your phone. We didn't take a picture of it because we didn't think we needed it. We Googled the map, and some soul out there posted it on Google. So we followed the map out. I was like, I asked my wife, I said, if I call the police, are they going to send a helicopter out here to come get us? We were out there for about about 3 hours.
Lost.
My kids said, we're never going back again. Never going back again. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It turned us all off. It's okay. It turned us all off. We didn't go back for like almost a year. But then, yeah, it scared us. It legitimately scared us. We were like,
you guys, did you take a picture of the map the second time? The next
we got a picture of it. Yes, yes, we did. Yes, we did. Yes. But besides that, we also have a place here called Scenic Bluffs Park, which is a all wooden staircase trail, and it's in the forest. So it's really nice. And behind it is a beach, because I don't know if I told you guys, I live in Florida. So there's a lot of like beaches here, and it's beautiful back there. Like really nice white sand, clear waters. I'll go out there to clear my mind. The beach has always been a place for me for therapy. You know, I don't know what it is. If I go to the beach at night and just sit there and you feel that breeze from the wind, it's like you just completely forget about whatever issues you've had prior.
Listen to those waves crashing too.
Yes. But like I said, there's that fourth thing that I want to be a part of my life, but I just have not made. I guess I'll take the blame as far as saying I haven't made the time, which is reading. There are many books that I want to try to read. I'm really big into like sci-fi and stuff like that. I love that type of stuff, but I just never feel like I have the time to read, you know, with work and kids and content creation. I thought about Audible, like listening to it, but it's really not. I don't know. It's not really the same for me. Like I feel like I have to have the book in my hands.
Same.
You know, to connect with it.
Yeah, same. I can't do it. I've had to, like, people send me emails that are really long that have something in them, and I have to print it out if it's like more than 2 or 3 pages. I cannot focus and like retain what I'm reading unless it's in my hand for some reason. I don't know if it's because I'm old school or whatever it is, but one thing, because I struggled that same thing with time, and I do like reading good books. I just finished Dune this year, and the way that I was able to do that was 1 chapter a night before I went to bed. No matter how late it was, I tried to make myself, like if I was falling asleep, mid-chapter, throw a bookmark in, I just got to call it a night. But I would try to stick to that, and that helped me. But again, I get it with being tired. And, you know, I'm a lineman by trade, so I work on high voltage power lines. So we have late nights, pretty physical jobs sometimes, and it's just like, it's not feasible to do it. But I tried to do that as much as I could, and it works sometimes, and sometimes I just didn't have a book that I wanted to read, but just an idea.
I think that just goes to show how hard reading is. Like using our minds, trying to draw the pictures and then see it. It's difficult.
Reading is it's a weird concept, isn't it? We're looking at dead trees and essentially
going like existential with it,
like hallucinating. Looking at it,
that's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah. So reading is it is tough at times, obviously, to cut out some time for, but no, I appreciate you sharing that. It's always something that we make sure to always ask our guests, right? Is because again, it's an everlasting process of learning more about ourselves, our triggers. Obviously, what we talk about a lot, RJ and myself, is recovery, how to keep ourselves away from the bottle. So we talk about hobbies. Well, who are you? What are you doing? Like, I don't want to say taking care of your children. I think the word obligation makes it seem like it's something that you don't really want to do or kind of want, but it's outside of your family time, work, other things. Like, what do you do? And that's what we always make sure to get from our guests. So we appreciate you sharing that.
Absolutely.
We think it's important. And I think obviously your content creation is a big part of who you are. And I think that your listeners are gaining a lot from you. So when is your next stream? Let's get some information on your scheduling. Let's share that.
Well, actually, I was going to stream tomorrow, but I think that I have to work, of course.
Yeah.
But I know for sure this coming Tuesday, I have a podcast with Bearded Legend Gaming at 5 p.m. CST. And then after that, we have Friday at 9 a.m. CST, and then Saturday at 2 p.m. CST. That's another podcast. So I have actually 2 podcasts this week. So usually it's one, but it's 2 this week.
Okay, yeah. Let's say that again. So it's for our listeners. So Tuesday so they can catch you, and if they just followed you on Twitter or followed your YouTube channel, you post all of that. So, and we'll post it as well too with the episode. But Tuesday at, you said 5 p.m. Central.
Yes.
And Friday at 9 a.m. Central.
Yes.
Is that that's your schedule all the time?
No, it's not. Like I said, my schedule has kind of been disrupted.
Yeah.
With work, I've been really, really busy lately, and I'm in a position to where I have to choose. Okay, do you want to make time to for streaming, or are you going to turn down work? And currently in the position to where I can't do that at the moment. So live streaming has kind of been brought down a tier. So I try to stream at least 2 to 3 times a week. But when January comes, I'll have a better understanding as far as how much time am I going to be able to put aside, because unlike a lot of streamers, I'm not the type of streamer to sit for 5, 6, 7 hours. I just simply can't do that. And another thing a lot of people don't know is 95% of my streams are in between clients.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. So it's not after work. It's not a day that I don't have to work. I've probably woken up at 4 a.m. and started at 5, taking my kids to school. And then I come here, boot things up, and then I'm probably going to pick them up, and then it's right back to work.
Mm-hmm. It's impressive.
It's really impressive. That's wow. Impressive. That's talk about squeezing stuff in. That's something that we don't. Besides the podcast, we don't stream very much. We just don't have the time. And
school's been just kicking my butt.
The bandwidth, right? With parenting, I know a lot of people talk about it, and they don't always. They're like, "Oh, you chose to have kids." Yeah, I did, but also it takes a lot of energy. These 2 little gremlins do not run out of energy. They do not. If you think that they're on their 4th wind, no, they're actually only on their 2nd, and they're about to get their 3rd. Yeah, it's never ending.
I 100% agree with you. It's 3, 2, 1, 2, however many children, it doesn't matter. They require energy and attention. If you're not tired from parenting, you ain't doing it right. I'm sorry.
It's that energy. It is that energy.
Every few minutes too. It's I need this. I need this. I need this. So
yes.
As we wind down here, now we're at the hour mark. I kind of wanted to. What is something, D, that I think this was an extremely candid episode. We appreciate you bearing with us. Right, we don't write questions up. We want your just raw, candid responses. You most definitely provided that for us. What is one thing that you would love to leave folks with right here? Obviously, they'll be able to follow you, listen to you Tuesdays and Fridays, and get a hold of your schedule in January. But there's something that you kind of want to leave folks with.
Okay. Don't be afraid to say no.
Oh, that's a good one.
Put yourself first, because you matter. We as people want to see people happy. We want people to like us. But when we use the word no or I can't, that kind of makes people feel some type of way. I'm at a point in my life right now where I'm learning that, and it's changing me every day.
Mm-hmm.
Saying no, putting myself first, putting my happiness first. And I think that there's a lot of people in this world who just simply don't do that. And I just want to tell you that, you were born, you have a purpose, you have worth, and your happiness matters, and people need to respect that.
Mm.
I like that. I like that a lot. That's awesome.
Period.
Thank you so much for joining us, D. So that's twitch.tv/initial_D. We do have the link posted in the description of this video. And then Twitter is initial_D_experience EXP. And we also have that. I have that posted too. Is there anywhere else that people can find you that you'd like them to look up?
Well, I'm also on Instagram.
Okay.
Same handle as the Twitter. Initial_EXP. That's pretty much where you'll find me. For the most part, Instagram and Twitter. Definitely on Twitter. That's pretty much where I get my most traction.
Awesome. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate this.
We do.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
I will say, just to kind of wrap this up, this was the most calm episode, right? You got a very calming effect to you. Have you ever heard that before? Very,
yeah.
That gap in response time, stimuli, gap, response. You really focus on that, right? We ask you a question, you take your time, digest it, and come out with a response. It's really calming.
That's part of the growth right there. That's a part of that growth I mentioned. So it took some time. Thank you.
It's impressive. I noticed it. Well, thank you. We appreciate your time. And we'll most definitely get this out and let people know where to follow you, where they can listen to you, and we'd love to have you back on down the road.
Absolutely. I would love to be here. Thank you guys for your time.
All right.
So, Mons, where can people find you?
Yes, indeed. You guys can find me on Twitter at MonteBall28, Instagram MonteBall. Obviously our Untapped Keg pages as well. Send us questions, topics, guests you'd like to see, things you don't want to see anymore. We'll most definitely get back to you on that. RJ, where can they find you?
You can find me at @ItzTrickster on Twitter, ITZ, the I is one in Trickster, and Untapped Keg everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, we've been posting more on. We would try to get out more. So let us know, if there's any guests that you want us to bring on, anybody you want us to reach out to talk to. We have January starting to fill up. So, we're looking into February, but, reach out, let us know. We'll definitely look into it. And D, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being here. This was awesome. This was fantastic. And we're glad that we were able to make this happen.
Absolutely, guys. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
All right, man. You have a great Sunday. All right.
Yep. Everybody have a good week. Try to be better tomorrow than we were today, because at least if we didn't make it, we tried. And we'll talk to you later.
All right, guys.